Oh. I gotta let everyone look at that for a little bit.
Uh-huh. They already see your face, Chris.
I want them to see it double. All right, everyone. This was the third installment of the Roasthouse Pub virtual beer dinner. Featured this month was True Respite, and anyone who purchased the beer dinner was lucky enough to have one half of the beers featuring a can with my face on it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Joining me to answer any questions you all might have, Shelly likes to troll me. She hates beer with my face on it. Joining me this evening to answer any questions you guys might have about beer, food, beer pairings are Chef Niko from Roasthouse Pub and Brenden O'Leary of True Respite Brewing. Thanks for joining, gentlemen.
What's up, Chris? What's up, Niko?
Not much. It's been so long since I talked to you.
Oh, like at least 5 hours?
First, I'll say looking at the meals, because typically I get to watch the video as it's being made because I'm switching the cameras on the computer. But since Graham forgot to bring that, and it was just recorded straight to the memory cards, and he just made more work for himself to do the editing. I didn't get to watch along with the instructions, so as the meals were come out and I saw them, I was like, man, this is going to be much more complicated to make this time. But actually it wasn't that bad. I feel like I botched the tuna. But other than that, it was a really good, it was prepared put together easy enough for even me to handle it. So I think maybe what we should do is go through, since I have the technology to let people see what the meals look like, we could go through each meal. And Niko, you can give a little bit more in-depth description of it and why you paired each beer with that course. And then Brenden, you can give a little bit more in-depth talk about that beer than you did during the instruction video.
Sure.
So we'll start with the first course, or welcome course, which always confuses me.
That's my fault. So for me, one of the first experiences when I was much younger, I was drinking a Chenin Blanc, and I had a bowl of gazpacho, and from then on, to me at least, that pairing was a match made in heaven. So I didn't want to do straight gazpacho. You know me by now. I like to put a little twist. So instead of going down the tomato route, I went down the watermelon route. And after tasting the Grisette, which, by the way, absolutely phenomenal beer, freaking delicious, this is what we chose. So roasted the watermelon really quick. I mean, super fast at about 575 degrees. Pulled that, chilled it, salted it, and then roasted off some Fresno chilies. Wanted to introduce a little bit of spice. I'm sure you got a little bit of heat. Then let those chill out in a paper bag. I was able to peel and deseed them, combine them with the watermelon. A little secret, I added a little bit of dried cherries, which added a lot of depth as well, and a little bit of sweetness to support the spiciness of the chili. Then a nice garnish of fresh local cucumber, fresh chervil, which is an underestimated herb, and added another sweet component. We're now doing a beet tahini sauce on the menu. So It's also a beautiful color. So added that component. And then finally, for a little texture, we did some toasted quinoa. So that added a little nuttiness to it as well.
So, Niko, today I had to Google the difference between tahini and hummus. Can you walk me through that for a second? Because the way I understood it is tahini is like a flavoring that is used in hummus alongside chickpeas and olive oil and whatnot. Is that generally true? And is this actually a hummus?
So it's a great question. It's a hybrid. So tahini's used both in hummus, and tahini's also used as well in tahini sauce. So we backed out the garbanzo bean and introduced roasted beets and a little bit of heavy cream, hence kind of a fusion between hummus and sauce. So beet tahini hummus.
Okay, then. That explains why I was confused. I was rightfully confused.
Confused.
All right, so Brenden, tell us about the grisette that you love so much.
Yes, this beer is...
And also, why am I the only one that's ever drinking during these?
Hey, listen, if you need me to pop... full disclosure here, I am 3 pints deep already. If you need me to crack another grisette, though, I'm here for it, okay? This is my moment, and I'm ready to shine.
All right, well, maybe when Niko is talking about the next course, you should go run and get yourself a beer.
Okay. All right. Everyone's going to have to ignore the sounds of my children in the background and the house in whatever state it's in as I run up to my beer fridge to grab yet another grisette, because this beer, it was one of 4 beers that we opened with for our grand opening. And we had Alpenhaus Smoked Stout, we had Grisette Vin Blanc, we had True Grisette, which is the this base grisette without the what makes it Vin Blanc. I've spent a little time debating whether or not I'm going to share with the world what does this, and you know what? The right thing to do is to tell everyone exactly what gives this the Vin Blanc character. So we infuse this beer with a little bit of malic and tartaric acid, which are typically byproducts of a mature white wine. They're produced over time as the wine matures. And so you can give that impression of a mature white wine with the right balance of malic and tartaric acid. So this is a grisette, which is like a sessionable French-style saison with the malic and tartaric acid included. We had the Alpenhaus, we had the Grisette Vin Blanc, we had True Grisette, we had Wacky Jackie, which was our first hazy. And oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember what our other beer was. But I do recall that very quickly, we were overrun with folks faster than we were anticipating being. And so we had 5 beers on the menu for our grand opening with the governor and the ribbon cutting and all that. And then we ran out of one of them before we got another beer out of our pilot system. And that left us with 4 beers on the menu, and 2 of them were grisettes. And our customers were very gracious and forgiving in saying, hey, it's cool, this brewery's new, this beer is good, but if you roll out to a new brewery to try them out for the first time, they have 4 beers and 2 of them are very similar, almost identical grisettes. I am thankful that we got in front of the people that we did. My kids have come and joined us here. Yes, I came downstairs to try and be alone for a little while. And they're 3 and 5. This is Aiden. So
I said he'll be quiet.
Yeah, you said you'll be quiet? Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Great, thank you. All right.
Clearly, I mean, he's whispering. He's being quiet.
Yeah, nice and quiet for us. So, yes, that is the story of Grisette Vin Blanc. The label is a reference to my time out in France. I went and visited Bordeaux, and I went out to Saint-Emilion, which is like a vineyard region, a grape growing region. Oh, okay, baby, excuse me, please, thank you. It's a grape growing region outside of Bordeaux, and they have wonderful reds out there. Their red blends are generally what they're known for, but I really tried some pretty incredible white wines as well that I thought were absolutely story worthy. And so when it came time to tell the story of a saison, a French saison with a white wine finish, I immediately flashed back to my time at Saint-Emilion and having rented a bike and just rode among the chateaus out there sampling wine. And so that was the inspiration for the label. And this is a very unique beer to the brewery that I have not tried elsewhere. This was a concept that Kenny had before we even opened our brewer, and he wanted to explore the Grisette Vin Blanc. His wife is French, so there's a lot of tie-ins, that kind of led to this beer, and I'm very proud of it. It's one of my favorites we brew.
What kind of popsicles do you have?
Haiti, what kind of popsicle is that?
What flavor is it?
Yeah, what flavor is that?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. We got a strawberry popsicle over here.
Good call.
All right, now go see mommy, all right?
I'm going to be quiet and play down.
Why don't you go see mommy too, okay?
What kind of popsicle is it?
That's also strawberry. Go.
I did that in the wrong order, didn't I? There's course number 1, even though it's the second course, because Niko likes to confuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like brewery and brewing company. I know that aggravates you too.
That's not so much aggravates as just confuses me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like it's hard to do, but so this was paired with Dream Team, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yes. I have one of those focus. There we go. It's a beautiful can.
Yeah, I like the artwork on that can.
Any can with Chris's faces on it, I'm a little like,
So Niko, tell us about this meal. Which this is I thought I would completely botch this course, and I feel like I nailed it perfectly.
Nice. So this is just a really fun, obviously, summer dish. I think when we decided to add the wild boar component, the wild boar sausage, it definitely allowed it to have enough legs to stand up with the beer. And so what you're seeing here, this is all local, organic. So we've got patty pan squash, we've got yellow squash, we've got zucchini, shallots, garlic, onions, heirloom cherry tomatoes, and Campari tomatoes. Again, a classic dish. You make it right in the skillet, and before you finish it in the oven, you throw in a raw egg. In our case, we used a duck egg. Adds a little more richness, and a lot of fresh herbs is the trick, again, which coincides with the beer. And then, of course, who doesn't need bread to dip into that? So that's the route we took. Nice, really fun, simple, summery dish.
I did transfer it to a plate, though, because I didn't trust myself to not burn my hands with keeping it in the pan. Should the egg have been a little bit runny still?
Yes.
Okay. I nailed it. I did this one perfect.
Awesome.
I'm giving myself an A+ on this one.
A+.
I enjoyed this dish for lunch today. It was so good.
You want to tell everyone about Dream Team?
Well, can we finish talking about this dish first?
Sure.
Okay, so over the past few days, I've been trying to, or probably like week and a half, I've been trying to go more keto. And this dish in particular was like really accommodating for that, because obviously the center feature in the middle there is the egg, and you have all these incredible vegetables around the outside. And like, I was shocked at how full I was after just this course alone this afternoon. And I've never had a duck egg before in particular. Is there like a richness or a fattiness that comes from duck eggs that you don't get from chicken eggs?
Yes. Yeah.
I totally experienced that, because I finished the dish and it was 1/4 of the courses, and I thought to myself, how is anyone going to get through all 4 of these? Because this is very rich. It's filling. It's really nice.
You should have been to some of Niko's earlier beer dinners where each course was like 1.5 meals of its own. And it was like painful by the end of a beer dinner. The portions are much more manageable now.
Well, I was very excited by this dish earlier today, and Niko was kind enough to share it with me for lunch today. So I enjoyed it greatly. Thank you, Niko.
Of course. Our pleasure, my friend.
Yes. Dream Team, let's talk a little bit about that. So I mentioned during the video earlier, talking about putting together your meals, that this beer in particular we had used some later generations of a new yeast strain that we brought into the brewery. And it was our first time bringing Conan into the brewery as a exclusive feature. And the first time we actually used the yeast was a collab we did with Brookville Beer Farm called Convivial IPA, you may remember. And that was a blend with USO5 and Conan yeast. But what Maryland does, the Hazy Double IPA, was the first time that we used Conan all on its own. And we've been repitching now that same yeast strain in a few different beers. As it's progressed, it seems to be presenting more and more phenolic. The phenols, if you're not familiar, they give a very like Belgian impression. It's almost like a spicy clove sort of flavor. And it's not traditional or not typical in hazy IPAs. So if you roll through our Untapped feed, you'll see a few folks who are like, is this fermented with a Belgian yeast, or does this have a funny like clove character to it? And the reality is, full transparency, it wasn't intended to. But in the later generations of this yeast, I think it's kind of wandered a little far away from where we started with it. But when we tried it at the brewery before packaging, it was like, wow, this almost phenolic clovey character gives it a whole new dimension that I really haven't had from a hazy IPA before. And while it may not be strictly traditional, it's absolutely delicious. So we are returning to some early generations of that yeast from Jasper Yeast Labs out in Virginia for fermenting some new beers. And we're going to start over from scratch and kind of get a feel for how far we can go along those generations before we start picking up that phenolic character. But we did, pick that up early on when we tried it out and decided that this was a beer that was delicious, interesting, unique, and worth putting out with the world, despite the fact that it's maybe a little bit different. The hops on this one, I believe, were Centennial, Amarillo, and Simcoe. And, they're very traditional IPA hops, in particular, those three. And the way that we use them with it's like 1/3 Whirlpool, 2/3 dry hop. It brings the bitterness down a little bit. Like it doesn't eliminate the bitterness. You still have those IPA qualities, but it lets a little bit more of that citrus and pine sort of shine through without the harsh bitterness. And so you get a really nicely balanced hazy IPA at a little over 7% with just a touch of that spicy phenolic Belgian character that I think adds a really interesting twist in that layer. And that's what I saw Niko really play off in this food pairing in particular. When we talked about this beer, I let him know, like, hey, this is a little more spicy, a little more clovey, I think, than a typical hazy, and he ran with it, which I thought was very cool.
So of the three versions of Dream Team, which one did you like the best?
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot here.
Damn right I am.
Shoot, man. To be fair, I tried them all at different points in the process. Like Oliver's, I tried like well finished in cans. Ours, I've had at multiple points through the brewing process, and Hysteria's was still in the fermenter when I gave it a try. But I enjoyed ours, if I'm being honest. Like all three of them were exceptionally good. Ours brought a little something unique, a little something interesting with that phenolic flavor. And, it's not something that we're going for every hazy moving forward, but I particularly enjoyed this one.
Sure you did.
Yeah, I did. Sorry. I mean, that's not the fun answer, but it's true.
They were all good.
They were all so good.
I would have accepted any answer.
Yeah, for real. I mean, you can't go wrong.
So the second course. Third course, second. Okay. So this is the one, I give myself a C- at best for recreating this one. I don't think I could show. This might show up. I don't know. Can you see how much I botched it? It was not. Right, there we go. Not as good. I overcooked the tuna. I plated it horribly. Thank goodness I don't work at Roasthouse Pub. So you want to tell us about this course?
Did Beth eat or were you left with 2?
Oh, I have one to make for lunch tomorrow because Beth hates seafood. She's also not feeling well, so she definitely was not even going to try it.
Well, I hope she feels better. So this, again, going for legs to stand up to the next beer that it was paired with. This was a lot of fun. Dan Bing, what a great name for a pancake. But these are classic Taiwanese pancakes. You'll typically see them served for breakfast, street food.
I did heat the pancake up properly. I nailed that.
Well, that is important. That's the vehicle to get it to your mouth. So that's
the rest of it was awful.
Tuna marinated for 24 hours. The tuna was caught locally right out of Ocean City, delivered yesterday. So tuna super fresh, yellowfin.
I appreciate that. Jen, are you talking about the big picture or the horrible little picture I showed up? Because
he's talking about, well, I don't know. So the tuna, again, marinated super spicy as far as marinade. Obviously, all that spice didn't translate when we go to cook it and caramelize it and get a nice sear on each side. But enough there, again, to stand up to the complexity and into the undertones of bitterness and pine and so forth with the next beer. We pickled the avocado with sour plums using plum vinegar and some Japanese spices. That was a 24-hour pickle. Some shredded Napa cabbage for texture. And then we finished that with a ponzu aioli. And you could have wrapped that up like a taco or a burrito and eat it that way. That's traditionally how it's eaten. Or you could just take a knife and fork. I thought it was delicious. I really enjoyed this course. So,
yeah, I knew she didn't see mine. So, Brenden, this one was paired with another collaborative effort beer. I still haven't tried it yet. The first 2 I've done of these, I had all the beers beforehand, and then it was very difficult to do this. So I only
that's kind of where I'm at, to be honest.
I only drank. Well, at least you don't have to push any buttons or click anything.
No, you're just letting me talk. This is nice.
I only had the grisette during the meal, so I haven't had a chance to try. What's the name of it again? Get by with a little help from my friends.
Get by with a little help from our friends. Yeah,
our friends.
It was a group collab. So Tony at Saints Row in Rockville came to us with this idea. He's like, I want to do a hazy double. I love doing projects with a few different breweries. I'm gonna put together like a base beer that we can use as a base, and then here's a list of 12 hops. Go ahead, claim a couple hops for yourself for your version of this beer. I will send you guys your version of a label that I'm gonna have our artist Tristan work on, and each brewery can put their own flair on it. We'll use some really popular hops for this style beer so that we can be sure that's going to be delicious and everyone will be excited. And it was a project about being neighborly. It was a project about being friendly. It was a project about the communal spirit of the industry. Like, there was really no alternative goals, I guess, for this beer other than just to say, hey, it's fun to brew together. Let's do something. So that's the inspiration for the name. The art, Tony had put out something at Saints Row with a similar label, different colors, and slightly different hop bill. So for us, we use Centennial, Amarillo Cryo, Simcoe Cryo, and Motueka. So fairly similar to the Dream Team label, a little boozier. So this one came in at 8.5%. We did not do a great job of disguising the alcohol in this beer. Like, in the early sips, it's not so obvious, I don't think, from my perspective. But as the beer starts to warm up, if you haven't, crushed the thing and moved through it quickly, you do start to pick up some of the warmth from the alcohol. I know a lot of people find that appealing because they like to know they're drinking something a little stiffer. Some people would prefer to drink 12% beers that drink like 4s. To me, that's dangerous. I would get myself in a lot of trouble. Yeah, this one, it's a very, very assertive beer. And I think that Niko obviously rose to the challenge here, putting together that spicy tuna dish in order to ensure that the food that this beer was paired with is assertive enough to stand up to a very loud, a very proud hazy double IPA.
You want to see the can art for the next beer that Tony and I have coming out?
I would love to, yes. Super hype bros. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Is this not Street Fighter?
Yeah, Street Fighter.
Street Fighter, yeah. That's awesome. That's so good. Your first one was Mario, right?
Yeah, the Mario Brothers.
Uh-huh.
So this comes out in a couple of weeks.
That's awesome. Is working with Tony the best, or is it the best?
Tony's one of the greatest people in the world.
Oh, he's awesome. A sour double IPA. How did you pick that?
I love sour IPAs. I absolutely love them.
Did you learn to love them from like Hudson Valley, or where did you pick this up?
You know what? I'm not even sure where the first sour IPA I had was. I'm not sure. It definitely wasn't Hudson Valley. It was a local Maryland brewery. Actually, you know what? It might have been Union.
Wasn't one of your first collaborations with you did a mango sour IPA, didn't you?
Yes, that was with Monocacy.
Yeah.
And then there was a sour pineapple IPA with Old Mother.
With Old Mother, that's right.
But I mean, even before then, I loved sour IPAs. I think Union may have been the first place I had a sour IPA.
Interesting. Okay.
So where does the sour component come into making the sour IPA?
So the way we've done it, at least at True Respite, we've only done one sour IPA, but it, in my opinion, came out really nice. We did a collab with Forward Brewing, and we kettle soured it like a typical fruited kettle sour, but rather than hitting it with a ton of fruit like one normally does, we did a whirlpool hop pitch like you do for a hazy IPA, and then we dry hopped the snot out of it. So we started with a kettle sour base and then treated it like a hazy IPA from then on. And you can create this sort of like fruity, juicy character on a sour beer. And in my experience, which is obviously extremely limited because we've only done one, but we used Barbe Rouge hops, which are a French hop, and they give a very jammy berry quality to the beer. And kind of playing up the fruity qualities via the hops, I think helps bridge the gap between that tart acidic sour and the hoppy IPA of today. So that was our approach, and I think it's a really cool style.
I mean, I think that's probably just how everyone does them. It's a kettle sour that's then hopped like an IPA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I think it's a perfect blend of styles.
It's pretty dang cool.
Then the final course, the dessert, which I saved for now, because I wanted to have some with beach drink, and I didn't want to drink beach drink until now, which is the absolutely beautiful raspberry beach drink this year.
You keep focusing on how beautiful this one is, and you like to make that point, like, oh, this one's pretty. You weren't happy with last year's beach drink?
No, it looked good, but it didn't look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was nice looking last year, but this year it's just beautiful. I mean,
it looks like raspberry lemonade.
There's a lot of crying coming from upstairs here. So why don't you tell us about this dessert, Niko? Because I found it to be pretty interesting.
Well, obviously I had to pay homage to the beer on this one for sure. So we ran parallel with this. I actually had 2 of these last night. Absolutely delicious. This beer is fantastic. So refreshing.
Oh, this is so good, Niko.
Thank you, buddy.
And it tastes perfect with the beer.
So yes, that was the concept. Instead of maybe juxtaposing and complementing, we wanted to run parallel with this. So we just figured out a way how we can get raspberry lemonade in a cup, but that was a dessert and not an actual beverage. So we did some homemade angel food cake, and we did a lemon curd, and then we candied fresh raspberries with Sour Patch Kids, and then made some meringue cookies. So we did a lemon meringue and Sour Patched raspberry trifle. Trifle's just basically a parfait, but instead of ice cream, typically you use puddings and curds. There's a cake component typically, and typically some sort of fresh fruit. And I thought it turned out fantastic. I snuck a little bite myself, and again, we wanted to go hand in hand, parallel with it in terms of flavor profiles, and not necessarily juxtapose alternative cuisine style or flavors that would certainly complement. But this one was a lot of fun. And homage to you, my friend.
The texture of the little chunks of Sour Patch Kids make it really cool.
What struck me about this one is when Niko and I were talking about like how to, even what order to present these beers. You know, Beach Drink is a 4.3, 4.4% sour beer. It's fruity. It's not your super, assertive hazy double IPA. And so from my perspective, I was like, it would make sense to put this one a little early on. And like from the start, Niko was like, no, we're pairing this with dessert. Like, I don't care. This is a dessert beer. It's going with a dessert pairing, and we're going to do raspberries, and it'd be tart. We're going to play with the lemon. And I was like, okay, like this is not how I envisioned it. And he was not taking no for an answer, which I actually thought was, very cool, because when you have a chef who's got a vision, they've got an idea, they've got an image for how this is supposed to work, like you want them to run with that. That's when magic happens, right? It wasn't a soft debate about like, well, we could try this or we could do that. He came to the table like solid on what he wanted to do and how he wanted it to work. And I was very impressed with this, Niko. And your idea of candying the raspberries with Sour Patch Kids, like how very novel brewer of you.
That was the point. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I think the tiny addition of the Sour Patch Kids, I think, just added so much to it.
Mm-hmm. It was very 2020, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know. If it was so 2020, it would have just been awful, and I probably would have spilled it on myself. And yeah,
it was conceptually 2020. How about that? Like what 2020 should have been.
Yeah, what we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
So are you getting that parallel with? So Chris, you see what I'm saying? It's like
yeah. It's not like the other ones where they play off of each other, or like an IPA bumping up the spice of a spicy dish. It's more of just like, it's very, very similar tasting.
Yeah, they're holding hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's perfect. To go with a perfect beer.
With the perfect label.
Yeah, I think that's what he's more excited about, if we're being honest with each other. That beer could be anything, and he'd be like, yeah, look at that label.
I mean, it's probably... Well, no, because if it was bad, then I would just be begging you not to put it out, because then it would be embarrassing.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad you have confidence, then. That's a good sign.
Well, I remember, I think I told you last year that it didn't dawn on me that the beer might not be good until I was driving down for when it was being canned.
Yeah, and the realization, like, oh my God, my name's on this.
Yeah, well, not my name, my face.
Yeah.
Like, all I kept thinking was like, what am I gonna do if I hate this beer?
You got to experience like 10% of what it feels like to open a brewery.
Yeah.
Because when we opened with Grisette Vin Blanc, and it's like Kenny had this idea of like, how do I marry a white wine with a sessionable French saison, right? Like, no one was thinking about that. First of all, it's not like a French session saison is something that is on the top of everyone's mind. And Kenny was like, I'm going to take this style that no one's thinking about, and I'm going to marry it with something that isn't beer. And in my head, it was like, yeah, let's try it, sure.
Kenny, can we do something that people will buy?
But also, can you just put like a shit ton of hops in something, please?
Yeah. I've heard people like hops.
Yeah, and hence we ended up with Wacky Jackie, Grisette Vin Blanc, True Grisette, and then I'm a fan of more like classic stouts, and so the Alpenhaus, and as it turned out, the Grisette Vin Blanc and the Alpenhaus both turned into like classic True Respite beers. Like people immediately grabbed onto those recipes and said there's something unique and special about this. And Alpenhaus in particular obviously has a slight amount of smoke to it. There are 8 different malts in that recipe. It's a very complex layered beer. And I learned right from Jump Street, like, do not question Kenny when he wants to marry white wine with session French saisons or whatever other thing he's got going on. And much like Niko, like when the chef has a vision and he knows exactly what he wants to do, like, you roll with it because they are geniuses. This is what they do. This is their moment. And don't let the sales guy or the brewery rep or the owner get in the way of the magic that comes from an artist knowing exactly how to put something together.
Well, I've said it multiple times that I've stopped even looking at the menus for the beer dinners because there were so many times when I saw something I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. It was a combination of like so many things I dislike, and then it still would end up tasting amazing.
That's how you know he's good.
That's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just at this point I just have blind faith that it's going to taste good.
Awesome.
Kenny and Niko, both you guys. I mean, honestly, like props to you, Niko, in particular. Chris is absolutely right. I came to Mom's Spaghetti and you put like steak in a big plate of spaghetti, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then I ate it. And it was like the clouds parted and the angels sang, and I didn't understand, but I didn't fight it. Like I was just like, I accept this. It's amazing.
That's funny. Thank you, brother.
Niko, have you had a chance to try the other beers?
I'm going to try the other 2 tonight.
Okay.
I have to go pick up the generator at the food truck, so I'm going to hold off till I get back from doing that.
Probably a good idea. Yeah, some of the other ones are a little strong.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I'm looking forward to it. The first 2, I had 2 beach drinks last night, and I had the Grisette, 1 Grisette. I was good, feeling good. It was both were delicious, fantastic. I love the idea of marrying the Vin Blanc with the Grisette. It is obviously a French style saison, freaking genius. I thought it was delicious. Really was. What a smart play. That's smart play on that beer. That is smart.
That's all Kenny. Can't take any credit.
Niko, did you watch Hamilton yet?
No.
Oh, here we go.
I'm so disappointed in both of you.
Oh, boy.
It's a national treasure.
I think I watched Grant. Is that under the same sort? Is that the History Channel?
No,
I don't.
It's a little bit. It's a little different.
Oh boy, yeah, that just shows what I do. I don't watch TV, buddy. It's more background noise for me, to be honest.
Well, it's perfect background noise. It's a musical, so just music playing the whole time.
Oh, I see. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's not for me, Chris. It's not for me.
What? No. That's unacceptable.
Hamilton is not that good. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Jeez, finally somebody with some common sense.
I mocked people that were obsessed with it for the first When did it come out? Like 2015. So for the past 5 years, never understood how anyone could possibly care about a musical about Alexander Hamilton. And then I watched it because my 10-year-old was obsessed with seeing it, and now I love it. It's amazing. But apparently Jen disagrees.
Listen, where I'm at in TV, like I am just now starting to watch Homeland, and according
I haven't
to I
watched
think
that.
Netflix, there's 8 seasons. Like that's where I'm at in terms of keeping up with pop culture. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Like I work too hard, man. I don't have time for this.
I never have either, brother.
Beth and I have been rewatching The Office.
Oh,
Well,
I mean, yeah.
Once we get the kids to bed, we usually watch about 2 episodes a night. It's amazing how poorly, from a political correct standpoint, that The Office is held up. But from a comedy standpoint, it 100% stands up. And I'm guessing it's never caught any flack because it's more pointing to the absurdity of
existence.
Yeah, more or less.
The daily grind, man. That's what that show's about. It's about the characters that show up just in your life, and you look at them like, "Are you real?" And they are, Chris. They're for real.
There are definitely some characters.
They are real.
Yes.
There are definitely some characters in The Office that I work with. Like 1,000% I work with them. I'm not going to list who they are, but there are definitely some that I work with.
That's it, man. That's the point. You've actually understood now. You've fully realized the point of The Office.
Yeah,
you've achieved Office Nirvana.
So we're towards the end of season 8. We're almost at the end of the marathon.
Mm-hmm. I didn't make it to 8. I saw like when Michael left, and that was it.
Well, so that's you could skip season 8. Season 8 is kind of garbage. They completely redeemed themselves with season 9, the final season. The Office was probably one of the only television shows that had a completely solid last season and an amazing final episode. And Jen, you're 100% right. There were definitely uncomfortable moments while watching The Office, rewatching it. But I highly recommend rewatching it because it holds up. That's what she said. Jokes never get old, and I don't want them to.
So tell me how The Office for you compares to Parks and Rec. Like, are they in the same family? Are we in the same league?
I like Parks and Rec a little bit less.
Yeah.
But I love Parks and Rec, also an amazing show.
Mm-hmm.
I know Parks and Rec is a division of our county. Shall I say a department? Speaking of county, they finally approved our outdoor seating yesterday.
Whoa,
congratulations.
That's big.
4 weeks of back and forth bureaucrats. Now
that's good because who knows if indoor will get shut down again.
Yep.
It's coming. Montgomery County, PG, Baltimore County, they've all been looking to the state for guidance on whether or not it should happen.
I think
Baltimore did today.
Yeah. We're prepping at True Respite for the shutdown again.
Yeah.
Listen, to those of you out there, like, I've had 3 beers, I can say this now, okay? Wear your goddamn mask, please, okay? All right, thank you. Like, my business depends on you just not being an idiot for a second, if you would, please. Thank you. Just wear your goddamn mask, okay?
Stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
Which I often think about, it keeps popping into my mind. You were on the last episode that we recorded in the building, I think. Because all of this just started hit. Jim from BAM was there. You were there.
Yep.
Someone else was there too, right?
It was just us. I mean, Graham was there.
He doesn't count. And you showed up and you were wearing a mask and the gloves. and I foolishly listened to the government and told you that it was useless to wear that. So I want to apologize for being wrong.
You did. You said that, but I've never held it against you because a lot of people thought that. And if we had a government that was worth
stupid
listening
Surgeon
to,
General was telling us that.
yeah, well, you know what? The beauty of science is that the data changes and people change their mind based on new information, and that's how it's supposed to work. So I don't hold that against you at all.
So I apologize for my bad advice 4 months ago.
Nah,
But wear it now.
please, because I really would just like to be open.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is probably a good note to end on with
Okay.
a complete downer. Can people still get beach drink? It seems like it's available here and there at places.
We did 15 barrels. It is available here and there at places. That's exactly right. I know there are some spots where it sold out quickly. It sold out at your Respite in like 2 days. But it's out there if you know where to look.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked in with District East. I don't know if they have any left or not.
Not sure.
Well, people should look for it because it's delicious and it's beautiful. Almost gone and slow to focus.
We do have a little left at the pub, so come get your
Roasthouse Pub is the perfect place to go get some.
Yes, unless I
And pick up the Grisette Vin Blanc. That is going out this
Blah,
week
blah, blah.
for the first time.
Grisette,
That
blah.
beer.
It was good.
It
It was the perfect beer to drink through all the courses.
I can see
Because
that.
I did my own pairing of the Grisette with everything. And I didn't want to have a whole bunch of beer before this. All right, gentlemen, I feel like I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate it. Niko, as always, it was amazing. And even though I thought it was going to be difficult, it was still super easy to put together. I assume you will be doing another one in August?
Yeah, I think we're on this path for a little longer. So, yep.
So once we know what the brewery is, we'll announce that. It'll thank you. It's always a pleasure, Brenden.
Chris, feel like I've seen nothing but you for the past like 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of like an infection in that way, I guess.
It's okay. We'll get past this.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank
Thanks,
you,
buddy.
everyone, for watching. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
You
Cheers.
guys can stay connected for a second.